Cornelius Agrippa is often called a magician. The word is not wrong, but it can make him look smaller than he is. Because if magic only means secret words, strange objects, spirits, rituals, and supernatural stories, then Agrippa becomes a figure of atmosphere, a mysterious name, a shadow from the history of occultism. But that is not the strongest way to understand him. Cornelius Agrippa was not just a magician. He belongs to something more structured, occult philosophy. And occult philosophy is not random mystery. It is a way of reading how hidden forces are supposed to work. Not only what appears, not only what a symbol means, not only what a ritual looks like, but what is acting, what is receiving, what connects them, what condition makes the relation possible, and what effect appears when the relation holds. That is the real shift. Agrippa does not make magic vague. He makes it structural. Start with something simple. A stone on a table looks silent. To the ordinary eye, it is weight, surface, color, texture, nothing more. But natural magic asks a different question. What virtue does this thing carry? Not virtue in the moral sense. Occult virtue means an active capacity attributed to a thing, a hidden property by which it can attract, resist, preserve, intensify, bind, separate, purify, or transform within the logic of the tradition. That word matters, virtue, because without it, magic becomes decoration. A plant becomes folklore. A metal becomes aesthetic. A seal becomes an image. A planet becomes a mood. A number becomes a symbol someone likes. But in the older magical mind, each thing is placed inside a network of qualities, influences, sympathies, antipathies, timings, and operations. The question is not only, what does this mean? The question is, what does this do inside the system? That is why Agrippa matters. He gives us a way to see magic as arranged relation. Something acts, something receives. And between them, there is a link, a correspondence, a sympathy, an antipathy, a proportion, a timing, a form, a word, a number, a material. This is much stricter than vague spiritual language. Modern language often says, everything is energy. That may sound deep, but it quickly becomes too broad to use. Older occult philosophy is more demanding. It asks what kind of force, through what relation, under what condition, acting on what receiver, producing what effect. That is sharper. A plant is not just powerful. A metal is not just sacred. A planetary hour is not just a feeling. A symbol is not just meaningful. Each one belongs to an order, and that order is what Agrippa helps us recognize. Think of a seal pressed into wax. The seal acts. The wax receives. The relation is contact and form. The condition is that the wax must be soft enough to take the impression. The effect is an image fixed into matter. This is a simple image, but it reveals the whole grammar. An active principle gives form, impulse, direction, or influence. A passive principle receives, holds, reflects, carries, or fixes that influence. Older magic often thinks through this meeting. A celestial influence acts. A material receives. A figure shapes. A number orders. A word directs. The operator prepares. And the object becomes a meeting point. This is why the phrase active and passive principles is so important. It prevents magic from becoming a cloud of mysterious associations. It gives the operation a structure, force, receiver, relation, condition, effect. Now look at natural magic through that lens. Natural magic does not only study nature as matter, it studies nature as a field of hidden operations. Plants, stones, metals, animals, elements, stars, and human faculties are not treated as isolated objects. They are read through the relations they can enter. Some things agree with each other. Some resist each other. Some strengthen, some disturb. Some preserve. Some attract. Some repel. This is sympathy and antipathy, not emotion, not personal preference, technical relation. A sympathy means one thing can answer another. An antipathy means one thing can oppose or resist another. So when the older magical mind looks at nature, it does not see a pile of objects. It sees a network of possible actions. This is the world Agrippa opens. A world where the visible surface is not enough. A ring is not only a ring. A seal is not only a drawing. A herb is not only a plant. A number is not only a count. A star is not only a distant light. Each one can become part of an operation if it is placed in the right relation. This is also why correspondence matters. Correspondence is often reduced to symbolism. That is too weak. A correspondence is not just saying that one thing reminds us of another. It is a relation between levels of order. The small reflects the great. The lower answers the higher. The visible can reveal an invisible structure because it participates in a wider pattern. That is the logic behind macrocosm and microcosm. The human being is not outside the world, observing it like a stranger. The human being is a small world inside the great world. Body, soul, imagination, attention, timing, discipline, and preparation all matter because the operator is not separate from the operation. But this must stay precise. It does not mean magic is only psychology. It does not mean everything is inner feeling. It means the operator is one of the points through which the relation passes. A scattered operator misreads forces. A false correspondence creates confusion. A symbol without relation becomes decoration. A material that does not fit cannot receive the intended influence. A timing outside the operation weakens the structure. So preparation is not theatrical. It is not there to make the work look mysterious. Preparation is a condition. And without the right condition, the relation does not hold. This is where talismanic logic becomes clear. A talisman is often treated as a strange sacred object. But the older question is not, does it look magical? The older question is, what relation has been arranged? A talisman can gather several layers into one form. Material, image, number, name, timing, influence, intention. The material receives. The image gives form. The number orders. The name directs. The timing places the work inside a rhythm. The operator gives attention and intention. The whole object becomes a structured receiver. A visible form built to hold an invisible relation. That is why saying it is only a symbol misses the point. In this worldview, a symbol is not only a sign. It arranges relation. It gives shape to a principle. It makes an invisible order readable. And within the system, operative. The same is true for numbers. In ordinary use, a number counts. In mathematical magic, number orders. It gives proportion. It defines a scale. It shapes a figure. It builds a seal. It links visible form to intelligible pattern. Number is not added after the operation to make it look sacred. Number is part of the architecture. This is the best way to understand Cornelius Agrippa in this video. Not as a legend, not as a character from a dark story, not as a name used to make magic sound older or more impressive. Agrippa is useful because he forces the question of structure. What is acting? What receives? What connects them? What makes the connection valid? What follows from it? A modern reading often stops at meaning. It asks, what does the plant symbolize? What does the planet represent? What does the seal mean? What does the number suggest? Occult philosophy asks more. What virtue is attributed to the plant? What influence belongs to the planet? What form does the seal preserve? What order does the number create? What material can receive the operation? What condition makes it possible? What effect is being sought? That is the difference between decoration and operation. And it protects the subject from two weak readings. The first weak reading is superstition. It says magic is only a rational belief, but that misses the internal logic. Whether one accepts every claim or not, The system is not random. It has categories, relations, conditions, limits, operations. The second weak reading is modern symbolism. It says magic is only psychological meaning, but that also loses the older structure. A plant is not only a metaphor. A planet is not only a mood. A seal is not only an image. A ritual object is not meaningful only because someone believes in it. In occult philosophy, meaning is not enough. Relation matters. Fit matters. Order matters. Condition matters. Operation matters. This is why Cornelius Agrippa was not just a magician. The word magician is too small if it only suggests spectacle. Agrippa belongs to a wider vision where magic becomes organized knowledge, natural relations, celestial relations, numerical relations, material relations, symbolic relations, relations between higher and lower, relations between visible and invisible, relations between what acts and what receives. And once that becomes clear, the whole subject changes. Natural magic is not random folklore. It is the study of hidden virtues in nature. Celestial influence is not simple fatalism. It is a way of thinking relation between higher order and lower matter. Correspondence is not decoration. It is structure between planes. Talismanic logic is not sacred-looking art. It is arranged relation fixed into form. And the operator is not a spectator. The operator is the point where knowledge, preparation, attention, and action meet. So if one sentence has to remain, let it be this. Cornelius Agrippa turns magic into a grammar of occult philosophy. Force, receiver, relation, condition, effect. That is the grammar. And once you see that grammar, Agrippa is no longer only the magician of legend. He becomes a doorway into the older way of reading reality, not as isolated objects, but as a living structure of hidden relations. Cornelius Agrippa was not just a magician. He was a way to understand the system behind the word magic. Subscribe for more notions from the Hermetic tradition.